Hello, BillWhittle.com members. I'm Steve Green, along with Bill Whittle, of course, and Scott Ott, of course, and this is your members only right angle for this week. Hey, is there anything worse than a devoted husband? No, apparently not. Washington Post put out this thing last week detailing Mike Pence's strange, creepy marital relations in which he does not have dinner with a woman who is not his wife. He thinks it helps him to keep his marriage vows. But the complaint, and maybe this, maybe there's something to this complaint. Scott, let me throw this at you. You know, the workplace, the rules on sexual misconduct are now so strict that even the appearance of impropriety can, after the fact, land you with an ugly lawsuit. So, but now the feminists are complaining that Mike Pence is taking this so seriously that he won't even have dinner with a coworker. What's the right side of this craziness?
Well, the suggestion is that somehow the real business is always conducted behind closed doors, and that if he, as an executive of some sort, is not meeting in private with some of his top lieutenants who are women, therefore they're cut out of the loop. It's like not being able to join the all-male golf club and all the business is being conducted out there on the greens. And this has been totally refuted, by the way, by somebody who was essentially a secretary to the committee that Mike Pence chaired in Congress, and basically said, I never had dinner alone with Mike Pence, but frankly, he didn't have dinner alone with a lot of people. He went home and had dinner with his kids and his wife every chance he got. And so she said, I've never felt like I was marginalized in any way. Her last name is Vogt, V-O-U-G-H-T. I've never felt marginalized in any way. My career was certainly not hindered. I advanced appropriately, and my ideas were treated as seriously as anybody else's ideas. So first of all, just debunking that entire notion that Mike Pence in particular has violated women in some way, or violated women's rights, or hindered their advancement, or put up another false glass ceiling is just debunked by the testimony of people who have seen him. But the other thing is, frankly, my wife and I have a very similar rule. And the idea is now, and theirs, I think, may be a little bit different than ours. Basically, ours is I'm not going to be alone, isolated with a woman who is not my wife in some place where I can't be clearly seen. So, if I have to have a business meeting, it's going to happen at Panera, and it's going to, it'll be in the broad light of day if I'm meeting with a woman. But even at that, I try to avoid that or bring somebody else alone if I can, because you're right. After the fact, accusations can come up that basically say, hey, by the way, I had lunch with him, and you know what he said, and you know what he did, and you know what was happening under the table. And so if you're in a position of authority and responsibility and you want to have credibility and integrity, you don't take risks with your personal reputation. You can steal from me my money, but he who filches from me my good name takes that which enriches him not and makes me poor indeed.
Indeed. All right, Bill, you've got Hillary Clinton. She's a strong woman. She stood by her husband through sex scandals. You got Huma Abedin. She was a strong woman who stood by her husband through a couple of sex scandals. And now you have Karen Pence, who is the victim of creepy Christianity. Do I have that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get into politics before we get into the creepy Christianity. I completely agree with what Scott said and what you said. Pence is a very, very smart guy. He knows how dirty the press fights, and he's seen on multiple occasions people just make baseless accusations, which this news media will repeat, and then the correction. You know the old story, right? That the charge is on page 1 above the fold, and the correction's on page 17, and in that kind of type. So there's a political smart reason for it. But look. Whatever Mike Pence wants to do to keep his marriage strong is Mike Pence's business.
Bingo.
Right. Marriage is marriage, dinner is dinner, and business is business. He's not talking about merging the two. Maybe Mike Pence feels like he'd be feeling better if he didn't have the temptation. Maybe his wife is very sensitive about these things. Maybe it's both, and maybe it's neither. It's none of our business. Yes. But it's working, and it is none of our business. Now, as far as, my fiance and I have a pretty good arrangement worked out. My rule for her is I don't let her spend more than 3 months overseas with a former boyfriend, because after that I start to get a little bit suspicious. And her rule for me is that if I'm going to be in private, I need to have a body cam on at all times.
At all times.
So
I think that's wise.
But my point is, even if that were true, that'd be my business, and it would be that would be between my wife and me, and not between anybody else. And if the feminists are saying, how come we don't have a chance to be taken out for dinner privately and wined and fed full of brandy and $200 steaks and stuff like the rest of the guys. I agree with you, Steve. Make up your damn minds, you bunch of
Indeed. All right, folks.
neurotics.
I got a paranoid streak going on this one. Let me tell you what I think happened. The Washington Post was testing the waters on this story last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I guess, before the big Susan Rice thing blew up Sunday night and then blew huge wide open on Monday with the Eli Lake column. So what I think they were trying to do is they really thought they had a chance to take Trump down with this Russia thing, that they were going to hound him right out of office. And then the hope was, with this weird, oh, he hates women, Republicans think women are icky angle, is to to discredit Vice President Mike Pence before he had a chance to be sworn in as Trump's replacement. They were essentially going to try and Spiro Agnew this guy. And that's where we are. Feminism has reached the point where it's not about legal equality between men and women. It's about boxing men in a huge power play. So good on you, Mr. and Mrs. Pence. I hope you have a happy marriage. It sure looks that way from here. And that's your members only right angle. Thanks for being subscribers. You keep the lights on. You keep us in business. And boy, we sure do appreciate that. We'll see you next week.